Hello everyone, I'm Uncle. What unbelievable and bizarre incidents have happened at your school? Today's story is related to a school. Let's go back to July 27th, 2013. The original poster, Kong Pian, shared on a certain forum platform, recounting a strange experience during university in the most notoriously haunted girls' dormitory on campus. Even now, thinking back on it still sends chills down my spine. Later, in 2013, the original poster published a post titled, "I've been graduated for a year, but my university experience is so terrifying I don't dare to recall it," which sparked heated discussion among netizens, with many forum users commenting and checking in to read. The poster explained that they attended an art university in Chengdu. The dormitory was a standard four-person room. As soon as you entered, there were wooden cabinets on both sides, as tall as the beds, divided into upper and lower sections, one for each person. There was about a 5-centimeter gap from the wall. The beds were upper bunks only, with no lower bunks. Underneath were computer desks and wardrobes. The room also had a small balcony and a bathroom. The original poster is from Jiangxi, while two of the other girls were locals from Chengdu, and the last one was from Inner Mongolia. On weekends, the two local girls would go home, and the girl from Inner Mongolia had a boyfriend. So every weekend, the four-person group would either go home or do their own thing. Some would go get a room, while only the original poster was left alone in times of loneliness. The original poster got along quite well with a senior who was in her 4th year. This senior would set up a small stall in the school square every day to sell little things, and the original poster would go keep her company in the evenings. One night, the senior casually asked which dorm building the original poster lived in. When she found out it was the girls' dormitory in Building 1, the senior's expression changed noticeably. She asked the original poster again to confirm if she really lived in Building 2. After receiving a definite answer, she said with a heavy tone that the girls' dormitory in Building 1 was the most haunted place in the school, and that there was no doubt about the rumors. Someone had died in that building before, a female student from the broadcasting department. It was said that there was a conflict. Zhang San killed Wang Er. It happened right before the holidays, so Zhang San stuffed the body into the wardrobe herself. Then she just went home. It wasn't until the start of the new semester, when someone was doing a dorm inspection, that they noticed a very strong and strange smell, as if something had been left to rot for a long time. That's when the incident was discovered. In the past, rumors weren't spread like they are now with the internet. The truth was passed around by word of mouth. Everyone would add their own take as the story was retold. So what was the real situation? No one can say for sure, but one thing is certain. A murder did happen here, and someone died. Besides this, the upperclassman also told the narrator about two other strange and eerie incidents, both personally experienced by friends of the upperclassman. Coincidentally, every single one of these incidents took place in this same girls' dormitory building. The first strange incident, the upperclassman had a friend from the same year who also lived in Building 2, but she lived on the 2nd floor, the very floor where the crime had once occurred. It was also a typical room where someone died. That night, after the four girls went to bed, they all had a strange dream. The next day, they started sharing the bizarre dreams they'd had, and to their astonishment, they discovered that all four of them had dreamed of exactly the same scene. They had all dreamed of a girl squatting in their bathroom. The four of them looked at each other in disbelief. Was this really just a coincidence? That night, everyone was so scared that they didn't dare go back to sleep. The second strange incident involved a senior who was in the same year as the narrator and was responsible for welcoming new students. That afternoon, 3 of the girls went to the bathhouse to shower, while one girl stayed behind in the dorm room. Because of this, the 3 who went to shower didn't take the key. But the weird thing was, when the 3 girls came back from the bathhouse, there was no one in the room, no matter how they looked. Since they had just gone to wash up, they didn't have their phones or anything with them, so they couldn't make a call. Just as they were about to go downstairs to get the spare key, they suddenly heard someone inside fiddling with the door a few times. At that moment, the 3 of them thought the girl who stayed behind was changing clothes, so they waited outside for a while. But after waiting a long time, no one opened the door, so they tried the door a few more times. After about half a minute, they heard a strange sound from inside again. Everyone got annoyed, thinking it was the girl who stayed behind playing a prank. Thinking they were being messed with, they started calling her name at the door. But then, the response came from behind them. It turned out the girl had gotten hungry and gone to the cafeteria to find something to eat. After she explained the situation, they quickly opened the door and found the room completely empty. So, who was it that responded to the knocking twice just now? After hearing these two bizarre incidents, the poster said they got goosebumps at the time, but in the end, it was just something to listen to. Why hadn't any stories been passed around at this school? Fake stories never really have an impact, but it wasn't until halfway through the first semester that the poster realized they'd spoken too soon. There was a gap of a few centimeters between the poster's door and two cabinets, and they usually tossed things like plastic bags and drink bottles in there, thinking they could sell them later to help pay for utilities like electricity. Pretty thrifty, actually. Then one night after lights out, everyone was lying in bed playing on their phones. The girl who slept across from the poster, near where the plastic bags were, said, "Why do those plastic bags sound like they're moving?" So everyone took off their headphones and listened carefully. There was a sound, like the wind blowing through and rustling the plastic bags, kind of damp sounding. It wasn't loud, but it was very clear. At first they thought it was just the wind. Sometimes the sound was there, sometimes it wasn't, so no one really paid much attention to it, and everyone just went to sleep like that. That was the first night. On the second night, after lights out, those bags started making noise again. This time, everyone started to feel like something was off, because when the lights were on during the day, they'd never heard the bags rustle, and even if the wind blew in, it couldn't possibly last that long. Then they thought maybe it was a mouse, so they decided to clean up the area the next day to check. On the afternoon of the third day, only the Chengdu girl, Xiaowei, who shared the room with the poster, and the poster themselves were there. The two of them decided to clean out the bags, so they used a broom to sweep all the bags and bottles out, and then locked them in an empty cabinet. But that night, as soon as the lights went out, the noise started again. About half an hour later, the plastic bags in the cabinet began to rustle, just as the poster had experienced before. The two girls asked, "Didn't we put all the bags away?" Xiaowei said, "Yeah, they're locked in the cabinet, so how could there still be noise?" The poster could confirm that the cabinet was sealed, there were no gaps, nothing could have crawled in, and it was already locked, so even wind couldn't get in. That's why everyone felt creeped out at the time, pulled the covers over themselves, and hurried to sleep, not daring to say anything. The next day, they quickly cleaned everything up and sold it off, and then just let the whole thing go. On the first weekend of the second semester, the poster was the only one there. Because of the previous strange experiences and rumors, the poster invited a girl from Leshan Xiaopi, who was in the same class upstairs, to hang out together. It was still February, and the weather was quite cold at night. The poster brought the computer onto the bed, and Xiaopi was also on the bed playing on her computer. Since it was the weekend, they thought it was fine to stay up and play for a bit longer. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, Xiaopi suddenly asked the poster if they heard the sound of someone making a commotion. The poster paused, took off their headphones, and listened carefully. Sure enough, there was a very muffled, persistent thumping sound, kind of like the distant beat of a drum, coming at regular intervals. The poster thought it might be someone next door or upstairs messing around, so they reassured Xiaopi. Maybe it's just someone around. But Xiaopi said no, that he had been listening for a long time, and then pointed with his finger, saying the sound was coming from that spot. The direction Xiaopi pointed to was exactly where they had thrown the plastic bag earlier. Next to it was a cabinet, and behind it was the wall, with just a few centimeters of space in between. The sound was coming from between the cabinet and the wall. You have to understand. The neighboring dorm room and the landlord's room have exactly the same layout, and the space between the cabinet and the wall is simply impossible for anyone to get into. How could a person possibly squeeze into that shared wall in the middle? Not to mention someone squatting there at 2 or 3 in the morning. When the two of them thought about this, they immediately felt a chill run down their spines. So the landlord suggested that Xiaopi go downstairs with him to grab a late-night snack, and they went out to eat while talking about it. They started talking again about the wall incident, and the more they went over it, the more frightened they became. Neither of them dared to go back, so they had to spend the night at Xiaopi's place. Coincidentally, the other girls came back the next night. After the poster told them about what happened, everyone unanimously thought that the poster and Xiaopi must have misheard, so no one took it seriously. After that, nothing strange happened for a long time, and gradually, even the poster started to think the same. Maybe it was just that Xiaopi and I were nervous and misheard, or maybe the sound didn't even come from that place at all. Soon, it was May, and during the Labor Day holiday, something strange happened again. My home is quite far away, and I'm also a bit of a loner, so I was too lazy to run around visiting people during the break. Xiaopi felt the same way, so the two of us ended up hanging out together until one night when both Xiaopi and I had already gone to bed. But both of us are a bit timid, so we left the light on. While Xiaopi and I were chatting idly, we suddenly heard the stool under the bed being dragged by someone, making a creaking sound on the floor for about 2 seconds. I asked Xiaopi, "Did you get out of bed?" Xiaopi replied, "No," and thought it was me moving around. So both of us sat up in bed and looked at each other. The atmosphere started to become especially eerie. The next morning, after it got light, I cautiously peeked under the bed, but found nothing. But from that day on, Xiaopi absolutely refused to come over and keep me company anymore. And I didn't dare go back alone either, so for the next few days, I went over to Xiaopi's place instead. One time, Xiaopi's partner came over from the mountains to visit him. At times like this, I obviously couldn't be the third wheel and disturb their world of two. So the three of us had dinner together, sang some songs, and hung out until almost midnight before I finally dared to head home alone, dragging my feet. Maybe it was the alcohol giving me courage, but I wasn't really scared at the time. After I got back, I put on a tank top and sat at my desk to watch a movie. But since there hadn't been any good new movies lately, I started watching a paranormal show instead. I remember very clearly it was The Sixth Sense. The episode I was watching was about the electric rocking horse and the person in white, which was already pretty creepy and made my hair stand on end. I was about 2/3 through the show, right when the hosts were playing the full version of the footage. Suddenly, I felt a tap on my shoulder, as if something had patted me. I was already on edge, so the sensation felt especially distinct. I was so startled that I jumped up immediately, patting my shoulder and looking behind me, but there was nothing there. After that, I turned on all the lights in my room, balcony and bathroom, then sat back down and continued watching this little bedtime story. Around 3 a.m., I was so tired that I just couldn't stay awake any longer and decided to go to bed. As usual, I went to the bathroom first, but when I pushed open the bathroom door, the light was off. I tried turning it on and off several times to check, but the light wasn't broken. I clearly remembered that I had turned on all the lights in the room earlier, and since I was the only one in the dorm, no one else could have gone into the bathroom. So whose doing was it that the bathroom light was off? Because of this, that night, I couldn't really say what happened. I just remember talking on the phone with an online friend for a long time, and then I drifted off to sleep in a daze. After that semester, everything was peaceful and uneventful. When I came back after the holidays, I told my friends about these strange incidents, and they all advised me to change dorms, but my belongings. There was just too much stuff, and moving all my messy luggage would have been a huge hassle, so I thought I'd just make do and stay. Later, a friend gave me a string of Buddhist prayer beads, saying that even if I didn't use them as a charm, they'd make a nice accessory. So I wore them, and before I knew it, the start of sophomore year had arrived, and everything seemed calm and peaceful. The first incident happened on Halloween night. My university and Chengdu Happy Valley often had those minivans that would take students over there. It was only about a 20-minute ride. We'd arrive at Chengdu Happy Valley, and every year on Halloween, they'd have a Halloween night parade with ghosts and all sorts of festivities. It was always very lively. At that time, I went to Happy Valley with some friends, and we played there until a bit after 10 p.m. before heading back to campus. Then we grabbed something to eat outside. We arrived at around midnight. The girl from Inner Mongolia was also there, playing on her computer. After I went in, I raised my hand in greeting. At that time, the school had already installed showers in every clinic restroom, so after I finished showering off the alcohol, I came out and started watching a variety show while chatting with the Inner Mongolian classmate behind me. I asked him how things were going with him and his roommate lately. Then, a voice from behind replied, saying, "Not good." I was a bit puzzled and asked, "What's going on with you guys?" "Didn't I just see him picking you up after school a few days ago?" Then I heard that Inner Mongolian girl say, "The two of them are doing fine," I replied. "But just now, you said things weren't good." She said, "I didn't say that. I was watching a video just now and didn't hear what you were saying." I said, "No, I definitely heard someone say things weren't good just now." But when I stopped to think about that voice, I realized something was off. The place I was in was in eastern Inner Mongolia, but that voice sounded like a typical northeastern girl with that straightforward northeastern accent. But the voice just now was speaking Sichuanese, which was odd, but I could still handle it. However, what happened next truly made me feel scared deep down. That day was the final exam of the first semester of my junior year. After the exam, I packed up my things and was getting ready to go home the next day. 2 local girls from my dorm had already been picked up by their families since it was the start of the holiday, and the Inner Mongolian girl had also gone out to have some fun. I was left alone in the dorm, so I couldn't be bothered to take out my computer and just watch some TV, thinking I'd go to bed early. Around midnight, I got out of bed to use the bathroom and was getting ready to sleep. Before getting out of bed, I turned off the TV, thinking I'd just leave the small desk lamp on for the night and turn off the main lights. But when I came out of the bathroom, I found the TV was still on. I thought maybe I remembered wrong, so I climbed back into bed and turned off the TV again. But just as the screen turned off, I noticed that besides my own reflection on the pitch black screen, there seemed to be the shape of another person's head next to mine. I swear I wasn't seeing things, because both the bed and the TV are really high, at least 2 meters, so there was nothing that tall that could be reflected in the TV. Plus, it was a round shape, with what looked like hair hanging down. It was such a bizarre and eerie scene. Terrified, I let out a loud scream and immediately turned around, but there was nothing behind me. At that moment, I was completely at a loss, too scared to even get out of bed, so I just leaned against the wall and played on my phone all night. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep. While I was sleeping, I vaguely heard someone speaking in the distance, though I couldn't make out what they were saying. The feeling wasn't particularly sharp, just a faint, intermittent sound, like someone breathing in and out. In the end, I was startled awake by a loud, heavy cough. At that moment, dawn was just breaking. I hurriedly got out of bed to quickly pack up my things, planning to leave as early as possible. But then I witnessed an even stranger scene. Previously, each of the 4 girls in the room had their own trash bin under the bed, but now all of them had been turned upside down and placed over the chairs. The odd thing was, no matter how you look at it, the chairs are as tall as shoes at least, so there's absolutely no way the bins could have been knocked over and ended up like that by accident. But then, who could have done all this? After that, the original poster continued to share more posts about minor incidents, like things that were clearly placed somewhere but ended up falling to the floor, or hearing sighing sounds and such. Fortunately, these things didn't happen too often. Later, in the 4th year, the original poster went out for an internship and stopped living there. But to be honest, the original poster said that those 3 years were really tough, even now, looking back. Looking back, I still feel uneasy. That's the end of the story. If you were the original poster's classmate or friend, what would you have done? If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. And if you have any experiences that you can't explain or that gave you chills, feel free to share your story with us. See you next time.